Okay, so to detect any calculus deposits on the 3-3, I'm going to be using the 11-12 Explorer, and I'm going to start at the midline of the 3-3, and I'm going to use short oblique strokes along the facial surface and into the interproximal space, while making sure that the terminal shank wraps around the facial surface. Okay, and now to detect the supergingival calculus on the surfaces towards, I move down to 8 o'clock, and I'm again going to position the working end of the Explorer at the midline of the 3-3, and I'm going to just use short oblique strokes into the mesial interproximal space, and ensuring that the terminal shank wraps around the tooth. Okay, so now I'm going to be using the 11-12 Explorer to detect the subgingival calculus deposits on the 2-3-3. So I'm going to put the working end at the midline of the tooth again and insert subgingivally. And then again, using the short oblique and vertical strokes, I'm going to slowly walk the instrument into the distal interproximal space and then slowly remove. Okay, so again, I'm going to be using the 11-12 Explorer to detect the subgingival calculus deposits on the surfaces toward. So again, I move down to sit at 8 o'clock, and I'm going to position the working end of the Explorer at the midline of the tooth, and I'm going to insert the Explorer subgingivally, and using short, oblique, and vertical strokes, I'm going to work the instrument into the mesial surface of the 3-3. Okay, so now I'm going to be using the Gracie 1314 area-specific curette to debride the distal surface of tooth number 4-6. So again, I'm going to be using the lower cutting edge of the instrument, and I'm going to ensure that the terminal shank is parallel to the distal surface of the tooth. So I'm going to insert the instrument at the distal line angle, go to the base of the pocket, and then use short vertical instrumentation strokes to ensure that I'm adapted to the tooth, and removing the subgingival calculus deposits of the distal surface of the 4-6. Okay, so I'm going to be using the S204S to debride the supergingival calculus deposits from the 1-5 and the 1-4. So to ensure that I have the correct working end, the terminal shank will be parallel to the mesial and distal surfaces of the teeth, as well as the functional shank will wrap up and around the tooth. So I'm going to start at the distal line angle of the 1-5 and use short vertical strokes to remove the supergingival calculus deposits. And then I will go to the mesial surface of the 1-5, and again using the short vertical instrumentation strokes to debride the supergingival calculus. And then I'll do the same thing on the 1-4, starting at the distal line angle, using vertical instrumentation strokes, and then go to the mesial surface and debride the supergingival calculus deposits. Okay, so now I'm going to be debriding all surfaces of the tooth 2-1. So I'm going to be using the Gracie 1-2 area-specific curette, which is designed for all surfaces of the anterior teeth. So to ensure that I have the correct working end, I'm going to make sure that I'm using the lower cutting edge of the instrument. And to ensure that I have correct adaptation on all surfaces of the tooth, the terminal shank will be parallel to both the mesial and distal surfaces of the tooth. So I'm sitting at 12 o'clock, and I'm going to insert the working end of the instrument at the midline of the tooth, and then go down to the root surface and use short vertical and oblique instrumentation strokes to debride the subgingival calculus deposits from the distal surface of the 2-1. And then I'll slowly remove the instrument. And then I'm going to flip the instrument to use the opposite working cutting edge. And again, I'll be using the lower cutting edge, and again, insert at the midline of the tooth and go down to the root surface and use short overlapping oblique and vertical instrumentation strokes, ensuring that the instrument is adapted to the tooth, and then go all the way up into the interproximal space. And then I'll remove the instrument. Okay, so now I'm going to be debriding tooth number 1-6 using the Gracie 11-12 area-specific curette. So with the area-specific curette, it's designed to remove subgingival calculus deposits from the facial and lingual, as well as the mesial surfaces of posterior teeth. So I'm going to insert the working end at the distal line angle of the tooth, and then go to the base of the pocket and use oblique instrumentation strokes along the buccal surface of the tooth. And then once I reach the mesial line angle, I'm going to use vertical instrumentation strokes to remove the subgingival calculus deposits at the mesial line angle. And to ensure that I have correct adaptation with the area-specific curette, the terminal shank will be parallel to the mesial surface of the 1/6.